Right, boysies, here we go. So, let's talk a little bit about Silent Hill 2, or Return to Silent Hill, which, let's just get the poster up. Huzzah, there we go. So, Return to Silent Hill was released this year, in the year of our Lord 2026, and was an adaptation of Silent Hill 2, maybe one of the best stories or in any video game ever, in my opinion. And well, let's be honest, boys, the first Silent Hill, the first movie, is decent. It's an alright version, or it's an alright adaptation, and it came out in a time where video game adaptations were dog shit, right? Let's be completely honest here, boys. They were dreadful. You know, this is where you had your Uwe Bowls, Alone in the Darks. This is right in the depths of the Resident Evil, you know, Paul W.S. Anderson movies, and things like Blood Rain and shit like that. Like, video game movies were not in a good place, you know. And Silent Hill was the outlier, saying this one's actually decent, this one's actually good. It's got some issues, like it obviously uses Pyramid Head, which Pyramid Head I feel doesn't work with anyone else apart from James, but we'll get into that with spoiler alerts, boys. And I actually thought that one was decent. They then released Silent Hill Revelations, which was adapting 3. Silent Hill Revelations is hilariously bad. Like, I'm talking like really fucking funny bad. Like, this is like especially if you've played Silent Hill 3 and you know about Silent Hill as a franchise, it's such a comically bad adaptation. And spoiler alert, boys, it ends with a fight with Pyramid Head being the good guy fighting a big CGI monster from like Hellraiser. It is ridiculous, but ridiculous in the best way. See if you watch it with friends, hilarious. So when I started seeing images of Return to Silent Hill, so bear in mind I'm a massive fan of Silent Hill 2, and I think Silent Hill 2 had a phenomenal remake a couple of years ago as well, and the original's fucking fantastic. And it should be a very easy thing to adapt, because I feel like a game with such a good story is a slam dunk. All you need to do is keep certain plot points, you know. You need to keep certain plot points and just do that, and easy. I was like, oh, Silent Hill 2 will be an easy one to adapt, because it is such a good story and such a basic story. You know, there's not many characters in it. And I was like, right, I'll give this a chance. And suddenly we started seeing images. I was like, oh, this looks a bit, oh, I don't know about this. Then the trailer came out, and I was turning to Megan and this looks abysmal. But we'll still go see it, because me and Megan like a good bad horror movie, or I'll go see a good adaptation of one of my favourite games. So, what I'll do, I'm going to talk about the first half of the story, and then we'll get into the spoiler zone afterwards. So, Silent Hill 2, or Return to Silent Hill, starts off with James driving down the highway, smoking a blunt and blasting out a song saying, "Running away from your problems." We then meet Mary. Now, the video game starts with James in a toilet talking about, and he's sort of talking to himself like in a monologue, explaining a story. Works phenomenally well. You just go straight in going, you know, dead wife, letter, that's all you need to know. Return to Silent Hill gives you a preamble about how they met, and then James having a breakdown and stuff like that, and then you see him talking to his therapist, and then he decides to go out and drive. But this is a good maybe 15 minutes before James decides to go back to Silent Hill. And he's also, so James is very much an everyman in like in the game, or games I should say. I don't think they ever describe what he does, but now he's a portrait artist. He's sexy, you know. That's the thing about James. He's just a guy, but this one he's like very much your 2008 guy that'd be in like a vampire movie, or like like the Vampire Boyfriend, where he's like, oh, he's the dangerous one. It looks like that, and I was like, the guy's acting does okay, I guess, you know. Like, the performances are fine, they're trying, but when you've got a steaming pile of shite, you can't do much with it. Characters that show up, like, for example, Eddie, who is quite a big part in Silent Hill 2, is only featured in one scene. And they do this thing, boys, where every time James is in a point where he's, like, say he's he's got a monster attacking him, they cut, I think they do this 3 times, where they go, it blacks out and it's a dream sequence, or it cuts to a completely different scene. Like, for example, they bring in a therapist who's talking to him over the phone, and he wakes up in the hospital, and she's like, oh, it was just a bad dream, you were found in Silent Hill. And then he wakes up again, and I was like, what the fuck was the point in that, apart from the fact they didn't know how to get him from A to B? And they just went, oh, it was a dream sequence, put that in there. Right. Now, boys, We're going to head into the spoiler zone here. So get the do going. Now this is where I will spoil the shit of this movie, right? So, also I will say, one of the most interesting characters in Silent Hill 2 is a character called Maria. Maria is a version of Mary, or what James wants Mary to be, and is like a creation of Silent Hill. She's actually quite interesting, and we get no time with her in the movie. She shows up. In fact, we walk by one scene I always remember is when you're in a club called Heaven's Nightwear, and she's sort of talking about being a dancer and talking about stuff like that, you know. And she's like fun. She's adventurous. She's like, hey, what James wants Mary to be, you know. But we don't get any time with her in the movie. Like, you meet her, she goes, oh, that's great. They go to hospital. She's stabbed. She's killed off. Like, you spend no time with this character, yet the plot, you know, expects you to, you know, to fucking care about her. Then, so for me in Silent Hill, there are two big twist moments, right? One is after Mary is killed by Pyramid Head, which I don't believe you see. No, you do see, you do see it in the movie. And then she appears to you, and that's when she tells you she's Maria. That doesn't happen in the movie. You don't get that scene. And wait, I'll wait to get to the second because I feel I need to talk about something else. So there's another character called Angela, who is a woman who has been abused by her family and is full of trauma. And basically her whole thing is James is trying to be the hero to save her. You can't save her because she's, you know, like, that's the whole point of Angela, is that she's not someone to save. She's not someone that you can rescue to get out of a fucking castle. She's this woman that's been damaged and been beaten and all sorts. In fact, like, the boss fight with her is something called Abstract Daddy, and is one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen in a video game. But in this movie, Angela, the little girl, I forget the little girl's name, and Maria are all the same. Like, they're all parts of Mary. Now, this doesn't make sense at all to me. It's not a bad idea in theory, but it's done so badly, where it's like all these, you know, all the people we meet are just different versions of his wife. And then there's a really stupid bit where James like, no, I don't believe it. And then they go, oh, you need to remember what was Mary's full name, and it shows you, I think it's like Mary or Maria Angela something, and that's her name. And I was like, that's horrific. That's awful the way they've done that. Considering I don't give these characters any time to, like, you know, to learn about them or anything. Then so Silent Hill 2, like, Silent Hill 1 has a lot of stuff to do with the cult. Silent Hill 2 doesn't, like, at all. The cult's not really mentioned. In the movie, they try to tie it so much in with the cult and, you know, all shit like this with Angela, well, not Angela, with Maria being the daughter of the leader of the cult. Right, it's awful. It doesn't work at all. And get this, so in the Silent Hill 2 game, she's just dying of an illness. They don't exactly say what one, but the way it is, it's just an illness, you know? In the movie, she is poisoned by a cult because she's trying to run away. And are you ready for the biggest one? So, the biggest point for me in Silent Hill 2 is James gets to this hotel that he remembers him and Mary stayed at. He finds a video. He puts the video in the into the VCR, and it shows a video of him mercy killing Mary. Well, okay, it's in the grey where it was a mercy killing, or he was killing her because he didn't want to put up with it, or she asked it. It is very much in the grey. You don't know. And it is one of the most powerful scenes in a video game that I can think of, because you go, our protagonist that we thought was this knight in shining armor trying to find his wife is not a knight in shining armor. He is a very grey, he's a very flawed, he's a very fucked up individual, and this town is his penance. Pyramid Head is this executioner. It's the feelings he's had, you know, it's his guilt, you know, that's Pyramid Head. That's why Pyramid Head only works, for my opinion, in Silent Hill 2. And then, in the movie, you never get that scene. He literally flash forward, and get this, And Maria never tells, or Mary never tells him, kill me, never. In the movie, she literally does. She goes, no, I don't want to live like this, please kill me. And I was like, this removes all ambiguity, this removes all of the guilt, this removes all of the stress, all of the feelings that make James interesting and make that story interesting are just removed. Gone. They missed, like, the most pivotal scenes in the movie. They fucking, they butcher the movie. It is awful. Like, I was saying this to Megan, like, that wasn't hilariously bad. There was one or two times I was laughing at the CGI, but it's just a horrific adaptation that clearly didn't understand the source material. And I'm not saying everyone needs to be a one-to-one adaptation, but when you get the themes of Silent Hill 2 and you just go, nah, not gonna do them. Oh, and by the way, right, so Silent Hill 2 is basically never has a happy ending. Silent Hill 2, one of the endings is that he learns to live with his guilt and carries on his life. The other one is that he commits suicide. Then there's another one where him and Maria leave Silent Hill, which is his sort of embodiment, his wife. She coughs and he goes, oh, better get that cough looked at, you know? Kind of going, it's got the same thing's got to happen, and he's now a much angrier and bitter individual, and he's okay with his choices, you know? But in this one, basically, the way this ends is they do I think it's called In Water, where he sits there and goes, I've fucked up in my life, I've sinned, and he drives into the water, and that's how the game ends, and it's a really fucking good ending. In this, what happens is he drives into the water, and he time travels. And he time travels to when he first met Mary, when Mary's trying to leave Silent Hill, and he goes, I'll give you a ride out of Silent Hill. Suddenly you get a good ending. Suddenly the whole fucking thing didn't exist. And I felt like ripping my hair out when I seen that. That was awful. Like, fuck me, I've never seen, I've never seen a better story butchered so badly by an adaptation. Apart from maybe Dark Phoenix Saga. But as far as video games go, because most video games plots are shite, or it's just abysmal. It's one of the worst endings I've ever... It's one of the worst fucking adaptations I've seen. It is much worse, in my opinion, than Silent Hill Revelations. Actually, no, so Silent Hill Revelations is a worse movie, but it's more entertaining. So I'd rather watch that over Return to Silent Hill, which I would never have the urge to watch again, you know? Literally the only positive in the whole movie is that the soundtrack is, I don't know if it's a remix or if it's the original ones by Akira Yamaoka, the guy who does the music. I apologize if I mispronounced his name. The guy who's done the music for Silent Hill for years, and it's really fucking good. Only positive of the movie. Hope they never give, is it Christoph Gans, is that his name? Hope they never give him another fucking video game project to work on. Fuck off, don't touch Silent Hill The Room, don't touch anything else, don't touch any video game projects. It was fucking shite, boys. Not even an entertaining way.